संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So it's nice that the Bengali New Year and the Tamil New Year in India, many of the regions have the New Year today, and some had few just 1 week earlier, like in Maharashtra. They have it every year when the this is actually this period is as auspicious as the Navaratri. This is also actually Navaratri till Ram Navami. It's a period of Navaratri. So when the Navaratri starts, that's the New Year for Maharashtra, the Marathis. So it's all nearby. Means within a week you have all the regional, in India, all the regional New Years. And it's good that we have just started our 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Dhyana Yoga, with the New Year. So let us have a resolution that let meditation become very qualitative in this life, in this year, that we take seriously. Because meditation is the thing which appears to be so simple that sometimes we never consider it, that it can really solve the problems of life. Yesterday only I received a phone call from States. He was previously in Sydney and then he went back to India, now he's in States. And constantly that the thing is, we find that with most of us, we go on complaining about the surroundings. We forget that actually, if we really dive deep, we will find it is our mind which is making us dance constantly. The simple thing that if I can somehow develop a devotion for God in whatever form it may be, and I develop the habit of constantly thinking of Him in all my activities and everywhere, where the mind gets chance to really delve in all those things, it doesn't get chance, because the limitation of the mind is at a time it can have only one thought. It cannot have more than one thought. Though it jumps from thoughts to thought. Throughout the day, they say we think more than 60,000 thoughts a day. So much this mind is jumping around. But the limitation is at a time it cannot have more than one thought. So if we make it a habit of doing japa at each and every moment of our life, they say at each and every breath, and it is possible. In our organization, there are many senior Swamis. They always just refer to this ajapa. Japa is sitting down and taking a resolution of taking the name of Lord. That is good thing. But that is something for a small duration. Say in the morning you sit for 1 hour, evening for 1 hour. But what about the rest of the day? So why not make it a practice that with each and every breath, I will try to think of the divine in whatever chosen form I have, and then the mind automatically becomes calm in all my activities. To practice this japa, that itself means when we hear it, it appears so simple that in our life we find that for solutions there should be some complicated things there should be there for solution. And when we hear that japa can solve all our problems, we sometimes don't believe it. But if we can just really adopt it, the simple thing is not that simple, because we will find that to keep the mind in one thought is not easy. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, tablar bol mukhe bola sahoj hate ana kothin, that to say the rhythm of the percussion, the tabla, is very easy. The teacher says you immediately repeat, but to really bring it in the hand, it takes time, it takes months. So similarly, to really bring it into practice, that with each and every moment of my life, with each and every breath, I will think of my Ishta, of my chosen ideal. It's very easy to say. Even a small child can, you ask him, he will say the same thing like a parrot. But to really bring it into practice, that takes practice. It is an assiduous journey, but it is something worthwhile. As in our scripture, it has been mentioned, Nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other way. If you really want happiness, this is the only way. That there is, I have found out that the Upanishad says that we have found out through our sadhana that there is that conscious principle, whom we call as God or whatever it may be, as the source behind the existence, and knowing Him alone can lead us to the annihilation of all suffering. That's the only way. There is no other way. There is no other slipshod remedy. There is no shortcut. So if we get convinced and adopt this as our way of life, it can be assured that there cannot be any so-called sufferings in life. All the external factors, they automatically fall off. So that's why Holy Mother always used to say, Japat Siddhi, Japat Siddhi, Japat Siddhi. That's the only thing. The more we can resort to that, the more we will find peace in our life. So with this, let us start the Dhyana Yoga. So as we were studying the very first verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita in the last class, with that we had a very short introduction. So what's that sloka? Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So it is God who is saying. So this Bhagavan Uvacha, this itself again and again comes in the Bhagavad Gita, and we just go on reading. We forget that it is God who is saying. So these words are very powerful, authentic. Means there shouldn't be any doubt about it. It is coming directly from the mouth of the God. What he is saying? Anasrita karma phalam karyang karma karotiya sasanyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na chakriya. Anasrita. Says without having any attachment. Asraya. That this at present, I think the world is my asraya. That is something which protects me, which sustains me, which nurtures me. So anasrita. By anasrita means I come out from this groove with this thought that this world is there out to nourish me, to protect me. No. I am as a self. I need no such prop for my own sustenance. So as a self, I am independent. This world is there just to help me out from this world of ignorance, not to bind me through the process of transmigration. So anasrita means that, totally unattached. The detachment. When Sri Swami Vivekananda in the complete works again and again is saying that when the detachment comes, that we will find that throughout the creation, that because of ignorance, the moment the self is getting reflected in the body-mind complex, we develop the sense of ego. From that ego, all the desire arises. That why? That as now I am identifying myself with this body-mind complex, to sustain it, to nurture it, becomes the be-all and end-all of my existence. And as it becomes the be-all and end-all of my existence, I get involved with the world, because to sustain it, what I need, I have to nourish it. From where I will nourish it? I think that all the things which are available in the outside world, this outside world is something separate from me, and it is there to nourish me. From that, all the attachments come. And if something is not suitable for my existence, it is detrimental for my existence, I run away from it. So all these reactions in the form of attachment, in the form of fight and flight response, creates the so-called the bindings, that I am knotted with all these attachments. So now, when as a spiritual aspirant, by reading the scriptures, by having holy company, somehow this idea has dawned in my mind that as the self, I need no such external help for my nourishment. I am already fulfilled. Because of ignorance, I have developed the idea I am this body-mind complex, and to nourish it has become the be-all and end-all of my existence, but I now am convinced of the fact that I am the self. And it is always fulfilled. It is at bliss. It is eternal. So there is no question of aspiration in the form of worldly endeavors. I have to develop detachment from it. So this sense of detachment is the beginning of our spiritual journey. So that's the word with which this chapter is starting. Anasrita. It means renunciation, unattached. Karma phalam karyam karatiya. That be unattached to the results of the actions. And go, but don't stop your action. Go on doing your actions. Continue with the actions. Why? There are two reasons. One is I cannot stop the action the moment I want. The past momentum will force me to continue with my actions, even to sustain my body till I go to the realization. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say very nicely, when a realized soul by his own will left his body, he departed by his own will, and someone came and asked, isn't it a suicide? Isn't it a grave act? Sri Ramakrishna gave a very nice example. He told in Kaviraja, in Ayurveda, the Kaviraja, what he will do to prepare certain medicines, like they call it Makaradhvaja. It is all liquids which you have to pour inside a bottle, and you have to give some time that all those liquids will gradually crystallize to become a hard solid. And now that's the medicine. Now how to get the medicine? Because it is inside the bottle. So there is no other way than to break it. So Sri Ramakrishna very nicely is to say that once the Makaradhvaja is formed, then what's the need of the bottle? Then there is no need of the bottle. So once we have realized that I am the self, whether I continue in this life or my life is over, it doesn't matter, because the purpose of the life has been served. So till then, we have to take care of the body. So this till we realize that I am the self. It's not a mere word, it's a realization. You become convinced to that idea. Till then, this body has to be taken care of. So what's the idea? It's not the attachment to the body, not to live 100 years. As Swami Vivekananda in the Complete Works will find very nicely saying that a banyan tree lives for 1,000 years. A tortoise may live for hundreds of years. But what's that? It dies as a banyan tree, it dies as a tortoise. What's the use of that life? We as a human being are born as a human being, but we can become illumined. So that how many years I live is not the factor. All the so-called, you will find most of the illumined souls, their life was very short. Sri Ramakrishna lived for 50 years. Swami Vivekananda, 40 years. Shankaracharya, 30 years, 32 years. Jesus Christ, 32 years. Nowadays, many just come and ask that question. How come such spiritually realized soul have such a short life? Just see what a big paradox that we have actually brought down the spirituality to just living a healthy life, a long life, as if that is spirituality. Spirituality has nothing to do with this physical existence. The moment I realize that I am the self, whether I remain in this body or not, it doesn't matter, because even when I'm in myself, when I'm in this body, I'm still continue to be the self. When I'm not in the body, then also I'm the self. The idea is very clearly mentioned in our scriptures that the self has actually not got converted into something. It is adhyasa, it is appearing as something. The moment the ignorance falls off, you again regain your identity. Have you lost your identity? Never. When I see the snake in the rope, actually it is still the rope. It is not the snake. But as long as I see the snake, I don't see the rope. But the moment I again see the rope, the snake is no more there. So the idea that the snake and rope coexist, it never coexists. When I see the snake, I don't see the rope. When I see the rope, I don't see the snake. What it speaks of, the moment I get established in the self, this phenomenal existence doesn't exist for me. So whether I'm in the body or not doesn't matter, because I am the self. I am established in that idea. So once you realize, that's a total different thing. But before that, not to take care of the body, But just to prepare the Makaradhwaja, the bottle is required. So as long as I haven't realized, I do take care of my body, and to sustain the body, actions are required. Action goes on. And for my existence of my body, I need the world, my family, the world, everything has to exist. So I take care of everything. So that is, what's the idea? That as it has been spoken of in the Bhagavad Gita, that is the idea of that the term which they use is Loka Sangraha. In the second chapter, if you remember, integrity of the world. That the world is a yajna. It's a give and take. Sahayagya praja srishto. When the Lord created the world, He created with the idea of yajna. Yajna is not the fire sacrifice, it's the idea of give and take. So if you take the basic idea of fire sacrifice, what's that? That I offer some oblations into the fire, which is the mouth of the devas, of the gods. The oblations are taken upwards so that it reaches the gods. In turn, they do us favor. So what's the idea? If you leave out the fire sacrifice, the basic idea is give and take. That in this life exists on the basic principle of give and take, of synergy. So I take part in this synergy, knowing it to be the plan of the Lord. How to understand it? Very simply, in the Gospel, Sri Ramakrishna is saying, where in one line he is explaining this synergy, that when the mother feels love for the child, is that love something for which the mother can take the credit? Is it she who loves? Does the love is something which she wills? Isn't it the fact that the love is something is already implanted in her heart? Into the entire creation, what to speak of human being? Will you find any creature where the mother is not taking care of the child? When God created this world, He has created with that love, so that through that He takes care of His creation. This basic thing, if we keep in our mind, that all the good feelings, all the empathy that ensues from my heart is actually something which has been implanted by the divine. So that through me, He takes care of His creation. The moment I'm aware of this fact, the question of getting return doesn't come. Because I'm just an instrument. Nimitta matra. I'm just a mere instrument in the hand of the Lord. Once I'm aware of this fact, then the question of getting something back in return doesn't come. But at the same time, I don't do anything casually. If I am an instrument in someone's hand, I just allow the one in whose hand I am the instrument with full resignation to work through me. Let him work through me, and he has given all the faculties to me. So I use that, so that I am using the word I, actually it is the divine. When we realize it is the divine who is using all my faculties to the best of his ability to take care of his creation. So if with this attitude we work, then it automatically becomes a detached work. I am not attached. At each and every moment, I am being focused of what I am doing. I am using all my faculties to do it in a perfect manner. But at the same time, there is no expectation for a result. There it ends. I am placed in life in such and such situation where I am having certain responsibilities. I do it without the expectation of result. The one who can do it, he is a real sannyasi, not just some mere external renunciation. I still remember that we are known only by our external signs. So many times when I have found, after coming to Australia, when I was in Sydney, wherever I used to go, they will ask, are you a Buddhist monk? Are you a Buddhist monk? So one day I asked, I always used to say, no, I'm a Hindu monk, not a Buddhist monk. And then I asked, I counter questioned him, that what makes you feel that I am a Buddhist monk? What makes you feel? Well, you have no marks. Generally, Hindu monks, you will have some marks, Vibhuti, Rudraksha, not only Gerua. Along with that, all those things. The Buddhists have this ochre color code, but they generally don't have all those marks. So now you will understand what Krishna is saying. That who is a sannyasi? Na niragni, na akriya. These are external signs. I don't touch fire. Because fire means what? Yajna. Yajna means what? There's always expecting something in return. isn't it? That fire sacrifices. So it all speaks of desire. That you will find that in the Vedas, all the yajnas, they're all because of some desires. Putrishta yajna, I want son. I want wealth. I want heaven after death. So all these desires based on which you are doing the yajna. So they all speak of desires. So now fire sacrifice entails in desire. So I won't touch fire. I won't touch fire. So this is an external sign. All our actions are meant for what? The motivation is to get something. I am just every day I go out for my job to have the salary, to maintain my family. So that's the aim. So now when you said you shouldn't have desire, so I said I won't work at all. Akriya. No action, no touching of fire. So that was how the idea of sannyasa was taken in the time of Krishna. That extreme. Either I am totally involved with life or I am totally detached. I just go to the forest. I just won't do any work. Just simply sit and contemplate. But at the same time, we find Krishna is indicating a wonderful thing. That even if you physically renounce the thing, can you assure that your craving for it has gone? Has it gone? You are sitting, be true to yourself. The inner craving. That is the real cause of our bondage, not the action. The craving. So if somehow the craving is gone, but still the action continues, that from outwardly it may not appear that he is renunciate, but inwardly he has renounced. So that's why in the very first sloka he is saying that our spiritual journey is actually to develop that detachment inwardly. That there shouldn't be any attachment, no craving. Let the actions go on. As that sentence we say again and again, that sadhu hobe, sadhu sajbe na, সংসারী সাজবে, সংসারী হবে না. That never be a householder, pretend to be a householder, and be a holy man, never pretend to be a holy man. We just do the opposite, isn't it? We will find that we all pretend to be a holy man, but we are extremely attached. We are actually householders. So spiritual journey is just the opposite. Let people think that you are highly attached. See the life of Holy Mother. If you read, even we may be just sometimes deluded with the idea, oh, she's so involved with the household duties. Someone came and told Holy Mother that it seems you are totally engrossed in Maya. Because that's what externally it appears. So actions doesn't actually entail what's the real your paradigm within, orientation within. Actions can go on with a sense of total detachment. As Sri Ramakrishna gives that wonderful example, that a maid servant works for the master, maybe he's a landlord. So she has to stay in the house of the landlord, taking care of all the responsibilities there in the household. Most probably her village is in some remote village. Her house is in some remote village. She has left her hearth and home and came so that she can earn her bread, earn her living, and send all what he earns to the family so that the family is sustained. So this is a picture, common picture we find in the Indian subcontinent. It's there. It used to be there. Now also it's still there. So Sri Ramakrishna is saying, giving that example. You see that maid, it seems that she is so involved with the household work. Whatever she is doing for the landlord, for the master, as if she is totally involved in that. But if you can somehow scan the mind, you will find her mind is always at her village, at her home, with her children whom she has left, and she is constantly thinking of them. So Sri Ramakrishna is saying that stay in the world just like that maid servant. Take care of activities, but your mind should be in the spiritual domain. That about your real identity, about your identity with the God. So that's the idea which is spoken of here as this real sannyasi. The real sannyasi has developed the detachment. He has not, this attached to the karma phala. But he is inwardly totally detached. The action is going on just with the idea that he is just an instrument in the hand of the divine. So this is the sloka which we were studying in the previous class. So now this idea is further carried in the next verse. What it is? Yang sannyasam iti prahu yogam tang vidhi pandava nahi sannyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. So know this, know sannyasa and yoga to be synonymous. Yang sannyasam iti prahu yogam tang vidhi. That what is known as sannyasa, that same thing is again yoga. That sannyasa we may just take it, that just physically renouncing everything and go to a forest and living a life of a renunciate. That's the notion of sannyasa. And the idea of yoga means, yoga here means karma yoga is, I'm totally involved with the world, taking care of all the activities. But if I'm doing it properly, then there's an inward detachment. So what's the common between the sannyasi who has renounced everything and in the forest? That he is detached mentally. Here the one who is doing karma yoga, for him, if you just scan his inner being, you will find he is detached internally. So this detachment is the common thing. Detachment is the common thing. And that is the thing which is the be-all and end-all of spiritual life. If you have developed detachment, wherever you may be, you are free. So this yang sannyasam iti, so know that sannyasa and yoga are synonymous. They are both same. Nahi sannyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. Because the one who has not renounced the sankalpa, the resolution, this word is very important. What is sankalpa? I want this, I want that, constant, that behind all the desire, first comes sankalpa. So this sankalpa, who has not renounced this sankalpa, he can never become a yogi. He can never become a real spiritual practitioner. Impossible. This detachment. I still remember a lady came to Swami Bhuteshanandaji, the 12th president, and she wanted to have some personal time. She was constantly and she came and told that my life is full of suffering. I am just tormenting within because so much mishaps is happening with my life. And she came and wanted some solution. And Bhuteshanandaji was a very jovial person. He used to make a lot of fun. And he was smiling and he told me the solution is very easy. It's very easy. And so that lady, being a devotee of Bhuteshanandaji, so she thought most probably he is really going to give some slipshod remedy. Well, so easy. So what's that, Maharaj? What's that, Maharaj? That's so easy remedy. Well, just you have to become detached. Bashana tag korte hobe. Nothing else. Only this much. And she immediately became very much again desolate. Oh, that the thing which you're saying, if that is gone, what is life? What's life? I know that so many devotees will be saying a very interesting thing, that Holy Mother's, after the passing away of Ramakrishna, Holy Mother's mind was always in a very high spiritual level. She was not feeling like continuing with his life. But Sri Ramakrishna knew that through her, lot of work has to be done. And sure, she gave Radhu. Radhu came as Yogamaya for her life. And I know devotees who will come and ask Sri Ramakrishna, if Holy Mother has Yogamaya, why not my daughter, my son itself can become Yogamaya for me? So this idea itself we miss. That for her the mind is going so high that she has to forcefully bring it down in the form of attachment to something. But when I say my son, my daughter, I'm already attached. There's no detachment there. This question of Yogamaya, how can it be the Yogamaya? So these subtle differences, if we don't understand, then the scripture won't serve any purpose. So we have to go between the lines to understand the real meaning of it. So here what he's saying, that you have to go beyond sankalpa. The sankalpa is synonymous to desire. Means if you have to go beyond sankalpa, means you have to go beyond desires. Why sankalpa and desire is synonymous? So Suppose you have gone to some mall, some supermarket, some mall. So understand what's the difference between sankalpa and desire. Suppose a wonderful overcoat or jacket. Now the winter is coming, so most probably a jacket is hanging. You have no plans to buy it. But what's the first thing that will happen? It is hanging there. It is not mine. It is something hanging there. But the first thought that will come, if it is mine. That first you will imagine, I am wearing it, how it will look like. And then the question of desire, oh, now I have to go and buy it, isn't it? So this is the subtle difference. Sankalpa means first you are identifying yourself with the object of your desire through resolution. If it is mine, if it becomes mine, and you even start fantasizing that I am wearing it, how wonderful I look with it, and all those things. You haven't worn it, but you have already started fantasizing, and then the desire comes. Now I have to go and buy it, isn't it? So this sankalpa actually speaks of resolution. To understand sankalpa, I will tell you a very funny story. In Dakshineshwar, nephew of Sri Ramakrishna, Hriday, who used to serve Ramakrishna. One day Ramakrishna found that Hriday has managed to get a male calf from nowhere, from somewhere. Sometimes male calf is not wanted because after all when it grows it won't give milk. So sometimes someone is to give it free, okay, because if I keep, after all I have to feed it. It is just, for me it is just an expense. I won't get anything in return. So if anyone wants, you can take. So Hriday that way managed to get one male calf, and he tied it some in the corner of the garden in Dakshineshwar, and he used to feed it nicely. And Ramakrishna, seeing that, he was curious. He asked that why this male calf? Why are you tending it? Well, no, when it grows, I will take it to Kamarpukur, to Shihar. His village was Shihar, it's near Kamarpukur. And there I will convert it into bullock, and then use it for my farming. And hearing that, Sri Ramakrishna immediately lost his consciousness. He fell on the ground. He lost his consciousness, and after that, when he came back to consciousness, and then he was relating that why? Well, he was shocked. That this male calf, this is such small. He's tendering after few years, when it grows, it will just make it walk down this about 100 miles to Shihar. We'll take it there, and then he will use it for farming. So much of planning has gone already. So, and that is Maya. That is the cause of all our bondage. So just relating to this fact that so this is sankalpa. So you just see that it is just as everything is still yet to be materialized. It has yet to grow and then convert to that. Your desire is to yoke it to the plow and then cultivate your land. That is waiting still for years. It is waiting. So your desire is yet to be fulfilled, but the desire already has started acting. How? Its cause is this sankalpa, this resolution. So if you will find, if I can get rid of the resolution, the desire falls off automatically. In Mahabharata, there is a very wonderful sloka. That sloka is Kama janami te moolam. Kama janami te moolam. Sankalpat kila jayase. O desire, I know the root cause of yours. The moolam. Moolam means the root. The plant's moola, the root. The root of desire. I know your root. What is that? It is sankalpa. Sankalpat kila jayase. You are born from sankalpa. Jayase means to be born. Natvam sankalpaisyami. So I won't take such resolutions. Samula na bhavishyasi. So I will be uprooting the desires from the very moola, from the very beginning. So if we stop fantasizing, so this we have to catch hold of the desire at its root. Once the desire is there, now it is almost impossible to get rid of it. You are under its sway. So I have to nip it at its bud when it has just started evolving, where you will find through sankalpa. All our desire starts with that sankalpa. So here Bhagavan is going one step ahead. He is staying in spiritual journey. The first sign of purity is vigilance. Be vigilant. So another example of sankalpa. That's Sri Ramakrishna already has resolved the life of a renunciate. And he knows that Holy Mother, why he married Holy Mother, it was his own choice. He knew she is pure. In true sense, she can be his Sahadharmini. Sahadharmini means they are associate in the same spiritual journey. Sahadharma. And now, but because of public opinion, when all started saying that your husband is mad, won't you have children? How can you have children with such a person? So he was constantly hearing this. So naturally, by hearing, somehow a desire to have a biological child grew in her mind. And when one day we find Ramakrishna is joking to bring the idea of renunciation in the mind of Holy Mother to establish it, she was joking. Suppose that your child is born and you are so happy with the first child, and she dies because of some epidemic, some malaria. The next child is born, and that child again dies because of some other, in those days, this malaria was there, typhoid was there, cholera was there. So he was just repeating. And then again you weep and wail. And Holy Mother from behind the veil silently told, will all of them die? Sri Ramakrishna usually jumped from his seat and told, oh, it seems I have stamped on the tail of a deadly cobra. So now you will find the real desire to have child has not evolved, has not come. But it is there like a sankalpa in the mind. That resolution has come. That after all, yes, that marriage is meant for that, to have a biological child. So, but Sri Ramakrishna's life was meant for something different, to show the world the purpose of married life. There's why Sri Ramakrishna married. This question many wonder, that if he is a renunciate, why he married? His renunciation was spontaneous. But what's the need for the marriage? Because in the present world you will find that marriage means, after all, that's the basic thing. What's the basic thing? For fulfilling our sensual desires. That's why the marriage is. The basic, everyone will say the same thing. In this world of gross materialism, Sri Ramakrishna wanted to show the world that he used to say, I have done, ami 16 korechi, tora 1 kor. That I have done the maximum thing which has to be done in spirituality, at least you do the little. What's the idea? That even in a married life, total renunciation is possible, where the husband and the wife are united in soul, not in body, in soul. And they are pursuing the same spiritual journey. So he used to say that as we all have desire, well, go through the marriage process. But after having 1 or 2 children, now think of your spiritual journey. Why not relate to that? After all, you are not going to stay with this type of life through eternity. This has to go off. Even if you are not willing, the nature will force out, isn't it? It is going to snatch you today or tomorrow. But as a human being, there is a higher goal. Why not consider yourself as a co-traveler and now get unified in the spirit to continue your journey as a spiritual aspirant? And then you become the real Sahadharmini. To show the world that the marriage has another dimension of it. That I have done it in totality. That there was total renunciation. For you it may not be possible. So in the gospel you will find he is mentioning that why not, after having 1 or 2 children, live the life just like a co-traveler in the spiritual journey. So these all will speak. Why we are saying all those things? This, though you are in the world, still you are out of it. Just like a lotus leaf. A lotus leaf is in the water, but it never gets drenched in the water. If you pour water on it, it will form droplets and just simply flow away from it. This detachment alone can give us real happiness. Otherwise, in the name of love, in the name of marriage, all family violence, all the violence you will find is at the home. Why? At last you will find that I love myself, none else. I have loved myself in the name of love. I love the other person. Why? Because I love myself. At last you will find that it helps me to satisfy my desires. That's why all the relations. So at last, selfishness becomes the prior factor in our so-called day-to-day living. And that can never give us peace. unless we can come out from that groove and try to relate through dispassion to the world, peace is impossible. However, we may go on having patchworks in the name of peace, peace is impossible. So that's the thing Bhagavan is indicating again and again, that get rid of the sankalpa. Where you are, what you are, that's not important. That how that inner detachment has developed. That's the only thing in spiritual life. Otherwise, in the name of spirituality, as Sridharanandaji in his lecture, again and again he says, it is like throwing the baby along with the tub water. That in the tub you will be bathing the baby. The water is dirty, you have to throw the water. So first you have to remove the child and then throw the water. So-called physical renunciation is throwing the baby along with the tub water. And Swami Vivekananda, in the very beginning of his lecture, God in Everything, he gives another nice example. That most of the time in the name of physical renunciation, we harm ourselves. How? That he says that a king just kept a monkey in its service. That when he was sleeping, that sometimes the flies, the mosquitoes will be there to disturb you. So he asks the monkey who is in his service that when you see the fly is there, try to get rid of it so that my sleep is not disturbed. Now the monkey is a very ardent devotee of the king. He is really a very devoted to the king. So now, as he has been instructed to just protect him, so he's sitting with a sword in his hand. And suddenly a fly came. And it was just flying over the king, and then it just sat on the nose of the king, and now the monkey gave a big strike. So that's what happens with us in the name of renunciation, like that. So what is that? Instead of really getting rid of the fly, means the desires, we start harming ourselves. So many say that in the name he tried to renounce and he has lost his wit. Why? Because you will find if you're forcing something, as Sri Ramakrishna says, that when you develop a scab over the wound, you try to forcefully remove it, your wound will lacerate. It won't heal. You have to allow it to fall off. And you can accelerate the process of healing by applying some ointment, some medicine. So spirituality is like applying the medicine to accelerate the process of healing. It's not forcefully taking out the scab. The devotion, the development of viveka, vairagya, these are the designed modules of your mind with which you are actually applying ornament over the worldliness. At last, it falls off automatically. You don't have to force it out. If you force it out, it is going to harm you. So we have to know the art of this dispassion. So another thing is important, that what you resist persists. Nowadays they say very much that you will find the biggest problem with all our desires, especially those who are addict. They go on thinking I have to get rid of the addiction, and the more they think, the more intensely they get addicted. The more you resist, the more it persists. The more what it speaks of, if I constantly have to think that I have to get rid of my desires, that you're constantly thinking of the desires. The more you resist, the more it persists. What you have to do, again in the words of Sri Ramakrishna, very simply has told, the more you go towards the east, the west automatically falls behind. You cannot push west. You have to just start moving towards the east. So what's the idea? That to develop that spiritual consciousness. Think of God. Think of yourself. Constantly don't think that I have to get rid of the desire. Think of in all our activities, let God be our toothache. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that the one who has a toothache, he is always aware of the toothache. Whatever activity he is doing, he can never forget that. It is always there in the background of his mind. Similarly, the spiritual thought, the thought of the God, the thought of the self should be there in the background of your mind, just like your toothache. It's always there. That's the way. Means you are thinking of the God, divine. As the more you think, the more the other thing automatically falls off. You cannot simply push them out. That I have to get rid of them desires. It's impossible. The more you think I have to get rid of them, the more it clings to you. Think of the divine, they automatically fall off. As we'll find in the life of Swami Turiyananda. As a young boy, he came to Sri Ramakrishna and he asked that question to Ramakrishna, that how to get rid of all the desires of lust, how to get rid of it. Sri Ramakrishna mentioned just in reply, take the name of the Lord, Harinam Dusa. And this Hari, his name was also Hari. Hari Maharaj then started thinking, is it that simple? So many people, even he later he related that even when I go down the street in the so-called all the street of ill repute, there also I find even there's all the people whom we hate as such. They are also having a rosary in their leisurely hour. Everyone is doing. How it is going to affect? Is really going to bring transformation? Is it that easy? And then he thought, as Ramakrishna told, let me try it sincerely. And he, in a few short time, he found a wonderful effect. What's the idea? If I'm doing it sincerely, if it is just not a mechanical practice, as we were saying, that our mind cannot have two thoughts at a time. The mind cannot do multitasking. If you are thinking something divine, something unholy, the other unholy thoughts are bound to fall off. In the simple words of Ramakrishna, that if that our body is like a tree, and on that lot of birds are sitting. He says that pap pakhi, the birds of sin are as if sitting on the tree of your so-called body. So sometimes people find that in the olden days, the villagers used to do that if the tree is fruit laden and the birds will be all destroying the fruits. So what they will go do, the villager will go just stand below the tree and just clap the hands. All the birds will fly off. To get rid of the birds, just clap the hands. So Sri Ramakrishna used to say, just clap the hands means just take the name of the Lord. Clapping the hand means taking the name of the Lord. And then from the tree of your so-called body-mind complex, the birds of sin, they will fly off. So that's the thing which we will find that here Swami, here Bhagavan is saying, Krishna is saying that be anasrita, be beyond sankalpa. Now the question is, how is it possible? So that's being stated in the succeeding verses. So we will now proceed that in the third verse of the 6th chapter, which is a very interesting verse, very, very poignant verse. What it is saying? Aru rukshor muner yogam karma karana muchyate yoga rudasya tasyaiva shama karana muchyate. These two words, Aru ruksha and this yoga rura. Aru ruksha means one who is aspiring to rise up. Aru ruksha. There's wherever the prefix a is there in Sanskrit, it is meant in the sense of encompassment. So Aru ruksha, what it means? Till I attain the goal, I don't stop. It speaks of perseverance, it speaks of patience. That I am a novice, I am yet to attain the ultimate spiritual fulfillment, spiritual goal. I am trying assiduously. Till I reach, I am not going to stop, I am not going to leave the journey. So such an aspirant who has that strong resolution is called Aruruksha. For him, karma is the cause. Karma is the means by which he will reach that state. Once he reaches that state, yoga ruda, then what is his means? Shama. Shama means total equipoise. Shama means balance. Now many will be translating that all our actions are just preparatory. When through action you at last attain mental purification, then actions can fall off. You can live a life of a total renunciate without doing any actions. So this is the very translation we find manywhere, and such translations we will say, which has believed by a nation for thousands of years and resulted in its downfall. What's the downfall? Even the one who is not raised up to that state, thinks I have attained and leaves his action. Because leaving action is something which we all want, that we all are the followers. Just I was joking, we are all followers of Jawaharlal Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi, all. In what way you will say? Because Nehru used to say that laziness is our greatest enemy. And Mahatma Gandhi used to say, love your enemy. So now you combine these two. So that way we are the followers. We all love that laziness, isn't it? So we all love, in the name of laziness, we all pretend to be that sattvic, as if I have no desires. I don't resort to any action. Oh, just whatever I have, with that my life will go on. I'm satisfied with it. This attitude was there for thousands of years. And that you will find in India, the entire civilization got mummified. Means if you want to know what the India was 1,000 years back, you go to the Indian village, you will find it's just the same. The entire civilization has got mummified, become like a mummy. Why? In the name of the wrong way of understanding the spirituality. That shama, that worklessness is the ultimate goal. And even if I have not reached it, I think I have reached it. I need nothing. In the name of laziness, I live a life of total, this passivity. So here, if the real meaning, if you understand, you will find it never speaks of worklessness. What it speaks of? With an example, we will try to understand. Now, as a novice in our spiritual journey, that most probably we have taken the resolution to meditate every day, in the morning and the evening. I sit for my meditation in the morning, in the evening. I find what's the condition of my mind, that every 2 or 3 minutes I will be thinking. I think that I have most probably meditated for already half an hour, and there is a watch in front of me. I open it and it's only 5 minutes. So the mind is constantly jumping. It's so difficult. You will find the time doesn't pass when you are in meditation. You are as if in the same. You think that so much time has passed, but you find it's only 5 minutes, 3 minutes. So that's the meditation we are going through. And then we get up from the meditation, and then throughout the day, I find that to keep my mind really calm, work is helpful. That if I keep myself fully focused in work, not that I'm doing work when my mind is roaming about, I'm doing the work perfectly with my mind focused, giving full mind to the work, that way past falls off, future falls off. I'm totally focused with the work, doing the work with full focus. I feel relaxed. So this equanimity of the mind, when it comes, when all the thoughts somehow has fallen off. For that, at the beginning, I resort to work. I do meditate. That for me at present, meditation is also a work. Why? Because no real love for meditation has come. It is just a resolution. I have to keep my mind fixed in one thought. This is a resolution, and you are working on that resolution. For me at present, meditation itself is a work. It's a more assiduous, more hard job than even plowing a land. It's a very hard job. We have to just go on, just whipping our mind. That's the work we are doing. And when we are working, we are trying to do with the full focus, without any expectation. Forget about the spiritual goal. Even in our day-to-day life, if I find that my work, I am not sure whether I am going to continue with my work tomorrow or not. Because now the work scenario is so volatile, so unpredictable. So now, if you constantly go on thinking, am I going to retain my job tomorrow? My work today is getting affected, isn't it? Because half of my mind is always thinking, is worrying. You cannot give attention to the work. So you are bound to lose your job. If you are worrying about your job, you are bound to lose your job, because you cannot focus on the present. So someone explains, you see, what happens tomorrow is not in your hand. But if you take care of today, that automatically will take care of tomorrow. Because if you're doing the work perfectly, whoever has given you the work, after all, he always wants an asset. He doesn't want a liability. If the work is done perfectly, he thinks you're an asset. Naturally, the chances are that you continue with your job tomorrow. So be focused. Just by thinking of tomorrow, you cannot change it. So why not be focused in today? So it has nothing to do with spirituality. But you will find that your mind, not only that your so-called secular life is getting integrated, even personally, individually, you will find your mind is at peace. As our Sunishthananda ji in Gita lecture again and again uses the word, you get cash down payment, immediate. Means You do not have to wait. If you can keep your mind focused in your work, immediately you enjoy that wonderful tranquility and peace. As a student, if I can focus on my studies, what the grade I will get, that is far in future. But immediately I will find that I really feel very much a type of exhilaration comes, joy comes. Why it happens? Because constantly we are with the baggage, carrying a baggage of all these thoughts, worries, tensions. Your mind is never dwelling in the present. Either it is in the past, oh, why I have done that thing, I shouldn't have done that way. Either I am regretting, repenting, or I am anticipating. Oh, what's the future going to happen? And the mind is always, you find, busy with all this thing. If you can somehow focus in the present, so this baggage of the past and the future falls off. So if you are having a baggage with you for a long time, and you get so much habituated, you forget that you are having a baggage. You are carrying a bag. And then somehow you keep it down, and then you realize, oh, I am feeling relaxed. Because you were carrying a weight that was stressing you, but that stress was for such a long time, you got habituated by it. But the moment you keep it down, you feel that relaxation. Same thing happens with the mind. The moment I keep down the baggage of the past and the future, I'm just in the present. Immediately that sama, that tranquility comes. So at present, work do help me that way. Through work, I am attaining tranquility. Without work, I cannot keep quiet. I find my mind is constantly just dragging me from thought to thought. I just cannot sit quietly. I have pampered those thoughts so much. Now they won't leave me. That just like your pet. So suppose you have a cat. You feed it every day. When you are taking food, you just give some food to that cat. So whenever you are having food, the cat will be always near you. And one day you decide, no, I won't feed it when I am feeding, maybe later on. And so when the cat comes, you don't give the food. Will the cat leave you? No. As it has got habituated, you have already domesticated it. It has become your pet for such a long time. So though you refuse to give him food, it will come again and again. So that's how our mind is. We have domesticated all these thoughts for such a long time. They're like my pet. If I just think don't come, they won't stop. They will go on disturbing me. So what's the way out? Move out. Don't sit for meditation. Go out, get engaged in some work. Even in Buddhism, even if they're not speaking of work, they're speaking of walking meditation. That if you find that sitting and meditating is difficult, walk. Go to the nature and just go on walking and try to keep the mind control. So we will find that it's an easy way. So when you are doing some work and you are focused on that, your mind automatically gets control. So here they are saying very interesting thing. As a novice, Karma Yoga is really helpful. That I'm not thinking of the future results. I'm not thinking of the past. I'm doing the work. I'm performance oriented, not result oriented. It gradually brings tranquility in my mind. Now if you go on doing this tranquility of your mind becomes habitual. Now you have attained the state of Shama. Whether you are doing work or not, as you have practiced this for a long time, this equanimity has become a habitual state of your mind. Now, whether you work or not, you are not going to lose this equanimity because it has become your habit. So now you will understand Yoga Ruda, the one who has attained that state, for him Shama, that stability has become the inner state of his being. It doesn't speak of external worklessness. As in the Bhagavad Gita we have already studied in the very third chapter, the 18th sloka, that Naiva tasya kritenartha na kriteneha kaschana. That he doesn't gain anything by work, a realized soul, nor he gains everything by renouncing work. Like Arjuna, when he went to the battlefield with which the Gita starts, that when he finds his relatives as the opponent, as the enemy, he is that abhisneha, that is his words, infatuation starts working. He forgets about the higher goals of life. That after all, as a king, he's bound to think of the integrity of the country where the value system should be respected. Not just my power is for exploiting others. So with that aim in life, you are going to the battlefield. That the cousins who even denied to give the 5 villages for the 5 Pandavas. So it speaks of exploitation, extreme exploitation. That I have not only grabbed their kingdom in some false game of chess, and now I am not even ready to give them 5 villages. So I am using my power to exploit others. So whoever it may be, when the police is just going to catch a criminal, the first thing he has to remove from his mind, whether he is known to me, whether he is my some loved one, or he is my enemy. With that, if he is my loved one, will I not just simply leave him? No. As a police, my duty is to just take care of my responsibilities, whoever it may be. Similarly, as a Kshatriya, as a king, he was not supposed to get infatuated by seeing his relatives. That I leave the battlefield. He is as if have taken the garb of renunciation, sannyasi. So why? To get rid of the challenges of life, he is renouncing. So, but a real realized soul has no as such, he doesn't have any desire for action, so to get some goal, nor he has the desire to renounce of action to again get some attainment, some goal is there. For most of us, in the name of renunciation, you will find there is a goal. What's the goal? That I am fed up with the challenges. I want to avoid the challenge. I want an easy life. Most of the time you will find our renunciation is just our seeking of an easy life. We don't want the challenges. And that's why the renunciation is never complete. Because my renunciation is not because that of the higher pursuits, for the self, for getting established in the self. It is just to avoid the challenges of life. That in so-called my family life, where I'm trying for a better job to sustain my family, I find it is challenging. Okay, let me be satisfied with some small work, and I think as if I have renounced. No. Actually, it is just to avoid the challenges of life. I am seeking comfort zone, I am seeking security zone. So that's why you will find in the name of renunciation, we are seeking something. So that's why very nicely in the Gita is mentioned, for a realized soul, he has neither to gain anything by work, nor to gain anything by renouncing work. So if work comes on the way, with his tranquil mind, he continues. If nothing is there, well, he can sit and meditate. But if there is work, he has no reason to just relinquish it. Oh, I have to meditate, so I won't work. No. He continues with his job. So that's why we say that this relinquishment of the work is the thing which so always come in the name of spiritual. There are so many funny parables, incidents that even in one of the direct disciples, I don't forget the immediate, that he's relating that that a disciple stays with the Guru in the name of meditation. Throughout the day, Guru asks him that throughout the morning, please go and tend some water, bring some water. He says, I am meditating. Do this, I am meditating. Do that, I am meditating. At last, the Guru does everything and he prepares the food, and now he calls the disciple. Plus, it's the time for food, will you come? And the disciple says, how much I will disobey you throughout the day. So now at last he comes and obeys. So that's the spirituality which we resort to. In the name of renunciation, actually we are seeking something. We are seeking comfort zone, we are seeking the security zone. So a man of equipoise has nothing to gain either from renouncing work or from undertaking any work. He maintains his equanimity in all the states of life. As the life wants, he is ready with that. So that's the idea. So once you reach that state, as Sri Ramakrishna in the Sri Ramakrishna's words, Je nachte jane tar betale paporena. So when I am aruruksha, when I am an aspirant, at each and every step I have to think what is right, what is wrong. When you have reached the state of equanimity, that has become the habitual state of our existence. Now know it for certain, goodness will become spontaneous. Because you have lost all the biases, all the wrong decisions we take in our life It's because of the biases. When you attain that equanimity, all the bias falls off. You see the truth as it is clearly. So there is no question of just having a false step. As Sri Ramakrishna says, you have become an adept dancer. There is no question of false step. Automatically your feet falls in the rhythm. Even if you're talking to someone else, if you're instructing your students, an adept teacher, an adept dancer who is a teacher, she is instructing the students about the dancing and the rhythm is being played. You will find while she is instructing, the steps naturally are falling in the steps. She never goes out of the rhythm. Her steps are always within the rhythm. So once you are attain that shama, you have become an adept. Now there is no question of constantly thinking what is right, what is wrong. What you do, that becomes the ideal for others to follow, because that is spontaneously good. That's what Shankaracharya says. What is sadhana? That what a realized soul does spontaneously, when we try to imitate, that becomes practice for us. So with this, we stop our discussion today. So we will continue with the succeeding slokas again in the next class. Thank you all. Namaskar.